Not even the biggest fans of MasterChef know everything about it, especially the big scandals the producers try to keep a lid on.
The countdown on MasterChef is very real and very enforced. When the clock stops ticking, there's absolutely no more cooking, but the cameras keep rolling long after the clock runs out. Getting just the right shot to show the action can take a few different attempts. When the clock stops, the cooks step back from their dishes. Then they're asked to recreate the intensity of the final minutes of the competition to make sure the cameras catch the excitement from every angle. While the contestants aren't allowed to actually make any changes to their dishes, they recreate the final scramble by moving around their dishes and moving things around the countertops. Alice Sovslovsky from MasterChef Australia Season 4 wrote on her blog, "We would finish cooking and then have to step away from the bench, put all of our utensils down, stop touching the dish, and then the next 2 to 3 minutes just pretend to fuss around our plates. I remembered I'd forgotten to season my peas, and the salt was so close to my hand, but I knew there were 5 cameras on me, so I couldn't do anything." It seems like all the action on MasterChef moves at a fast pace. Contestants furiously cook their dishes and rush to get the food on plates. The judges then declare who gets immunity and who has to cook even harder to stay afloat. In TV time, it all happens in the space of less than an hour. In real life, it takes a lot longer for those final dishes to make it to the final judging. Once again, Alice Sovslovsky blogged, "The judges would walk around and taste the food as soon as the challenge was over while everything was still hot." Soslovsky went on to reveal that, "Once you finish cooking, they take your plate away and shoot it with an overhead camera so it looks fresh. Then all of the dishes go straight into the fridge while the cast and crew would break for lunch. Once everyone returns from their break, the dishes are pulled from the fridge and used to film the final judging scenes. Maybe that's what gives Judge Gordon Ramsay the push to be extra mean to food he doesn't like."
If that's the best you can do, then you are in the wrong kitchen.
Imagine walking into your kitchen and creating an incredible meal entirely from scratch with no recipes or reference to help guide and inspire you. Now imagine doing that with the clock ticking and Gordon Ramsay waiting to judge the final product. For MasterChef contestants, that's exactly what happens. With no recipes allowed in the kitchen, contestants must lean on tried and true techniques, guidance from the chefs when they offer it, and a heavy dose of luck. Season 5 MasterChef contestant Elise Mayfield told the AV Club, "It's scary. There are moments when you're like, oh my god, it worked. I don't know any other way to explain it other than that it is amazing what the human brain can remember when you're under pressure." So how do they do it? It turns out that studying for MasterChef is a lot like studying for grad school. Mayfield said, "I basically put myself through a mini culinary boot camp where I made flashcards and memorized recipes. I quizzed myself all the time." Have you ever noticed how each contestant seems to have an endless selection of one particular kind of clothing in their closet? Like all camouflage shirts for the guy who hunts, or all lace dresses and cowboy boots for the girl next door? That's no accident. MasterChef's costume department gives contestants a wardrobe that fits their personality type and then tells them what to wear for each episode. The MasterChef wardrobe and makeup crew are trying to build a particular character, and it's done so well that you hardly even notice. Elise Mayfield told the AV Club, "You are in your outfit that you've been told to put on. You are going to wardrobe and hair and makeup." If you watch closely, wardrobe changes throughout the course of an episode can happen. Often, cooks wear comfortable shoes while cooking, and then change into nicer shoes to match their wardrobe when it's time for the big judging scenes. MasterChef hopefuls may be working up a sweat in the kitchen, but television demands they've got to look good while doing it. If you've ever been on the set of reality TV or a scripted show, you'll know that what's going on in front of the camera is just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the camera, there's a small army of people making it all happen, from camera operators to makeup artists to the people setting up craft services. The MasterChef set houses a working kitchen built where up to 24 cooks can work at once, including a viewing balcony, a small grocery, and a full dining room. What you don't see is the rest of the stage and people working behind the camera. So how do the judges keep track of everything that's going on in the chaos? Well, they have help. Chef and judge Christina Tosi told Lucky Peach, "There is a team of standards and practices officials who watch the contestants' every move. Everyone has the exact same advantages, and we want them to leverage those advantages fairly." And Tosi said everyone gets the same amount of help from the judges, admitting, "We want everyone to succeed." Between the pots and pans getting thrown around the stovetops, stand mixers whirring, and trays coming in and out of the oven of a very large kitchen, you might not even be able to hear what the person next to you is saying on the MasterChef set. But according to Delish, every single word the contestants say is recorded. Each cook wears a small microphone that can pick up even the quietest conversations, while cameras are recording the action from every angle. With so much audio and video to go through, the production crew has a massive amount of material to manage for every episode. The microphones are attached to the cooks' aprons and capture conversations between contestants, people talking to themselves while they cook, and hopefully even a few dramatic sound bites to make an episode especially exciting.
How did I tell you to cook them, though?
You told me to. You didn't tell me to cook them.
I said to cook them almost burnt.
No, you did
Yes,
not.
I did.
You said don't burn them.
In a Season 8 episode of MasterChef, 3 contestants were tasked with a pressure test of making a chocolate souffle to progress in the competition. Chocolate souffles are notoriously finicky and delicate, allowing very little room for error. How then did all 3 contestants manage to prepare absolutely perfect souffles and avoid getting sent home? Season 5 contestant Elizabeth Covell wrote on Medium, "The answer is they teach us. Every weekend, we'd practice 3 to 4 dishes or techniques." Covell explains that while filming took place Monday through Friday, the contestants were offered cooking classes on the weekend. They weren't required to take these classes, but considering that the lessons would walk cooks through techniques directly related to upcoming challenges, it probably wasn't smart to turn them down. Indeed, contestants who took the classes often did better on the show than ones who didn't. So it's okay if someone doesn't know how to cook everything. It's more about who remembers how to make and execute the recipe best. It's difficult for many of us to go without social media for a whole day, but if you're interested in being a reality TV star, you'll need to learn to go without. MasterChef contestants aren't allowed to spill the beans about who made the cut or what they cooked before the show airs. The veil of secrecy begins the moment the contestants step on set. The production staff takes each cook's phone before they come on set and holds on to them for the duration of filming. When they're not filming, contestants are allowed to contact their families, but aren't allowed to discuss any details of the filming or broadcast. Being so secluded in such a stressful environment certainly takes its toll on plenty of the cast members, especially once they re-enter society after their time on the set. After leaving the production, Elise Mayfield told the AV Club, "The real world just came flooding back to me, and it was really scary because I'd been isolated for so many weeks. And getting my phone back and realizing I had 1,000 emails to read was shocking." Given the amount of food that everyone goes through making their signature dishes, you may wonder where all of it ends up. Gordon Ramsay and his fellow judges don't eat the entirety of every single dish that's presented to them. And what about the food that the cooks didn't use? Have no fear, it's not going to waste. The food that doesn't make the cut for judging and filming gets eaten by the cast and crew. Host Greg Wallace told The Sun, "The cooked food is devoured by the filming crew. A lot of them carry their own cutlery." As for all of the groceries that aren't used, Wallace says, "The raw food gets divided up by the youngsters in the crew, talented young people who've just begun their careers and aren't necessarily earning very much. Waste not, want not, thankfully."
You might think that after auditions are held, casting decisions are made right away, or at least relatively quickly. But according to former cast member Elise Mayfield, after you audition in person, there's a bit of a waiting game as producers and the like move through all the different finalizing steps it takes to put together the cast. Mayfield waited for about 4 months before being told she was being brought to LA, at which point they gave her about 10 days notice to pack up a few months worth of clothes and get herself to Los Angeles. By the time contestants head to LA, it might seem like things are pretty finalized, but they're not. Mayfield was told to prepare on being there for a few months, and that was just the last audition. She went on to say that everyone was put up in a hotel together, no one knew anyone else, and that since most people were pretty friendly, it was easy to get to know people. When it came down to the competition, though, they cooked, they talked to producers, and suddenly 70 were cut.
Elise, your time is done in the MasterChef kitchen.
Contestant Jessie Glenn, who never actually appeared on the show, added a bit more behind-the-scenes info when she wrote about her experience. Potential, she said, have to pay their own way to LA. And they don't just cook, they take a 2-hour-long personality test, which she says gave producers the angles to craft personalities and plot lines during the show. This was when they also answered questions about potential arrest records or other shadiness that might be dug up once they were associated with the MasterChef brand. Glenn said the whole thing was pretty invasive. It's not a coincidence that Glenn has been one of the only contestants to speak freely about the personality test, the exit interviews, and the questions producers asked to guide the show. Most of the contestants signed strict non-disclosure agreements, but there was an exception with Glenn. According to Healthline, when she was handed the contract and started asking questions about it, the fact that she never signed got lost in the shuffle. Most of what you see, she claimed, happened because of answers contestants had given during interviews well in advance of filming. She didn't have good things to say about the process. And she also talked about life after MasterChef and what happened when she got home. She described bouts of crying and depression and how she found that she wasn't alone in feeling it. And she had discussions with other runners-up about how the show took its toll on everyone. Revenge is said to be best served cold, but what about food and cooking competitions? In an interview with Daily Mail Australia, MasterChef Australia judge George Calombaris said that by the time the dishes are evaluated by the judging panel, they're actually quite cold. Though the dishes you see on TV make your mouth water, they're not nearly as piping hot as they may seem. So when you're watching them take a bite and they appear to enjoy it, it's likely they're just faking that enjoyment. To taste the food when it's actually edible, judges taste food at each of the contestant stations around the kitchen throughout the competition. In an interview with Lucky Peach, MasterChef and MasterChef Junior judge Chef Christina Tosi said the judges taste while the contestants are cooking so they have a better understanding of who's really doing well and who's struggling.
Luca, what's going on?
My water is not boiling.
No, it's definitely not. Have you given up?
No, I'm not giving up, but how do you want me to make the water boil?
The judges are more fair and balanced than you might think by just watching the show. According to Tosi, there's a lot that has to happen before anyone even starts cooking. Introducing the challenge, going over the rules and regulations, and even getting the contestants into the kitchen can take quite a bit of time. You might think they all walk in, run over the challenge and rules, and begin, but the reality is a little more mundane than that. There's a lot of waiting around, checking that everyone really does understand what's expected of them, and giving contestants a little time to remember things they might have forgotten amidst the stress of the situation. If you've ever marveled over MasterChef contestants' ability to present the most beautiful dishes you've ever seen, even under all the pressure and stress they're dealing with, you might be disappointed.
Don't drop it.
I use the spatula. Oh my god.
Judge Christina Tosi disclosed that there's time between when the contestants have to stop working and when the judges will evaluate the dishes, so that each contestant can make their dish picture perfect. Pretty takes time, patience, and skill. It doesn't just happen. Gordon Ramsay might have a reputation as being a hothead.
In your restaurant before we come here, do you cook spaghetti before the customer orders it?
Never, chef.
So why are you doing it here?
It was wrong.
Oh, was it really wrong?
But he's not the only MasterChef judge with a temper. In May 2017, Australian judge George Calombaris was charged with assault after shoving a 19-year-old football fan at a match in Sydney. According to the BBC, Calombaris issued an apology after the incident, which he said came to a head after the other man shouted abusive comments that included references to his family and another recent scandal he was involved with. In April, ABC News reported Calombaris' restaurants were being investigated for a problem with their payroll system that led to 162 of their employees being underpaid to the tune of 2.6 million Australian dollars. The employees were paid an average of $16,000 each, but that wasn't the end of Calombaris' problems. Also in May 2017, the Sydney Morning Herald reported he and one of his Hellenic Republic restaurants were being sued over an alleged food poisoning outbreak. The restaurant closed for 24 hours and dozens of people were made sick by norovirus, which the Victoria Department of Health traced to one of their employees. The idea of letting Gordon Ramsay critique your child's cooking might terrify any parent, but if we've learned anything from MasterChef Junior, it's that Ramsay has a bit of a soft spot for young chefs. When Ramsay's critique of a dish made by aspiring restaurateur Logan in 2014 made the 12-year-old cry, Ramsay stepped forward to give the boy a hug and tell him it's not the end of the world. Tears? Gone. It's not the only time he's been seen encouraging the kids instead of unleashing his world-famous temper, but even went so far as to say that he considers crying healthy. He went on to say that it's a better way to deal with emotions than bottling it up inside, and also says that for their time on the show, the MasterChef Junior kids are getting the chance to experience reality. Having kids use real knives seems a little dicey, doesn't it? After all, the kids use knives as real and as sharp as the ones on the adult version of the show. Don't worry, in an interview with HuffPost, showrunner and executive producer of both MasterChef and MasterChef Junior, Robin Ashbrook, confessed that each row of contestants has a medic. Even though you don't see them, the medics are keeping a close eye on the kids cooking, ready to jump to action if anyone gets hurt. While of course cuts happen, especially when you're dealing with sharp knives, limited time periods, and lots of competition and pressure, it may surprise you to learn that the kids are less likely to cut themselves. Despite the emphasis on safety, the medics standing by on MasterChef have earned their keep more than once. In 2016, one MasterChef Australian contestant burned her hand when reflexively reaching out to smooth out some caramel, hot out of the oven. She needed medical attention, but ended up getting eliminated that round. That's the season after two MasterChef Australia contestants suffered major injuries after they were told to run out onto the field of the Melbourne cricket ground. Injuries are a part of working in the kitchen, and in 2015, MasterChef Junior contestant Addison Olsa-Smith proved just how tough these kids are. Days before she headed off to the show, she was working with a cooking coach at her home when she nearly lost a finger to a blender. She competed with gloves protecting her injured finger and its stitches. That's commitment!
Have you ever wondered if you could make it in the MasterChef kitchen? Ever dreamed about winning that much-coveted top spot and the massive cash prize that comes with it? If so, it might be worth knowing one very important thing. Being a contestant on MasterChef is no joke. Just take a look at a few of the many rules the show's top cooks have to follow. First things first, no professional chefs allowed. Yes, seriously, MasterChef only recruits and signs off on self-taught casual cooks. That's pretty much the number one rule on the show, of course, and it makes total sense, too. After all, you wouldn't try out for The Apprentice if you've got your own Fortune 500 company, and you probably can't get on The Voice if you headlined Coachella last year. But there are a few other rules contestants on MasterChef have to follow. In fact, one of the most surprising requirements takes place before contestants even make it to the set. Jessie Glenn, a one-time hopeful vying for the MasterChef top prize, detailed her experience with producers in a full exposé for Salon. According to Glenn, auditioners are required to partake in a lengthy personality evaluation and one-on-one with a psychiatrist before getting the official sign-off to join the series. Don't expect to get a copy of the results, though. Glenn says that you're never shown them, likely because the whole point of the test appears to be to glean dramatic traits and characteristics from the contestants so they can be harvested later for a plot twist. And MasterChef isn't the only show that does this either. When Glenn asked the doctor if they perform these consultations for other shows, they replied, "Yes, The Biggest Loser, American Idol, all the Fox shows." Potential contestants are also required to meet with an investigator whose purpose is to dig into every last bit of your personal history before approving you for TV. Even though Glenn says she hadn't thought they had done anything that would prevent them from being selected as a contestant on the show, she was still incredibly nervous. And honestly, can you blame her? Going through a psych evaluation followed by an interrogation by an investigator is hardly going to be the most relaxing experience you've ever had. But that's not all. Since MasterChef cooks are expected to be self-taught, there are strict rules in place to ensure that no one has an upper hand. That means that no recipes or phones are allowed, which, let's be real, is probably a good rule to have. After all, these days it's a little too easy to Google search potatoes, find thousands of gourmet roasted russet recipes, and become a master chef in your own kitchen. Unfortunately, this rule extends beyond the kitchen too, and contestants are only allowed one short phone call to the outside world each week. And they've stuck by this rule in the past too. In 2011, a contestant on MasterChef Australia was booted off the show after smuggling a mobile phone into the contestant's house. So if you get homesick easily, MasterChef might not be the place to launch your TV cooking career. Inevitably, the MasterChef producers have to be on top of things to make sure the set is an even playing field for all of the cooks. Lucky Peach spoke with MasterChef and MasterChef Junior judge Christina Tosi, who assured readers that there is a whole team of standards and practices officials who watch the contestants' every move. So yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of rules to follow. And if it sounds like too much, then maybe you're best sticking to Saturday afternoon MasterChef Junior reruns. If you think it'd be a breeze, though, well, there's no time like the present, is there? Whether it's from the contestants themselves, the judges, or perhaps an ingredient or dish itself, MasterChef has had its handful of scandals around the world, some of which shook the series to its very core. In 2013, MasterChef judges and producers were accused of harassment of various types by former contestants. Many of these accusations came from a blog post by former contestant Marie Porter, where she describes how friends she met on the show were allegedly physically harassed by judges and producers. She claimed such actions caused contestants to become depressed and suicidal, and said one contestant was harassed so much that she asked to be edited out of the show completely. While some contestants, such as Ben Starr, refused to get involved, there was widespread media attention in regards to Porter's claims. The production company behind MasterChef, Shine America, released a statement refuting all claims of harassment. The statement read, "Contestants on MasterChef are treated with the utmost respect and professionalism, and we care tremendously about their well-being. The recent comments posted about the treatment of contestants are completely without merit." While NDAs prevent contestants from saying much more than they already have, like whether or not settlements were made, we may never know what actually went down behind the scenes. Imagine messing up so bad that you get your coworkers of 11 years fired alongside you. Well, that was the reality for restaurateur and MasterChef Australia judge George Calombaris. What did he do? Oh, just underpaying employees of his restaurant company in the amount of 7.8 million Australian, or nearly 5.4 million USD. When the news broke in July 2019, viewers were immediately petitioned for Calombaris' removal from the show, yielding over 25,000 signatures. Network 10, which airs MasterChef Australia, soon announced they were letting all 3 judges go, and while it didn't outright name the scandal, they didn't deny it either. Citing commercial reasons, Network 10 said it had been unable to agree on a new contract deal with Calombaris and his co-judges, Matt Preston and Gary Megan. The announcement was made just 1 week after Calombaris was fined and the scandal exploded, so we can see the correlation. Calombaris did eventually come out and say there was no excuse for the underpayment, citing issues with classification of workers, plus him not being on top of things. Considering he had first been informed in 2015, some say he took too long to address the problem. No matter what kind of chef you are, chances are good the MasterChef kitchen will cook up something you've never had to deal with before. This was painfully true for Sheetal Bhagat. A devout and practicing Hindu, Bhagat had the misfortune of being on a 2010 episode of MasterChef that involved killing a live crab. In Hindu, it's believed that every living thing has a soul, so killing it was something she felt she couldn't do.
I'm a Hindu, I was raised Hindu, and we don't believe in taking the life of an animal.
Host Gordon Ramsay offered to kill the crab for Bhagat, but ultimately the chef decided she needed to do it. It did earn her a top 3 dish, and Judge Joe Bastianich proclaimed that the crab was probably happy to have given up its life for her dish. However, many felt this wasn't something Bhagat should have been tasked with, while others chastised her for not sticking to her morals and beliefs. If you know anything about reality television, it may not come as a surprise that reality shows are fake, or at least heavily scripted. When it comes to cooking shows, it's relatively common, as producers don't actually want contestants to be scrambling around the kitchen and failing miserably. Still, it does take a bit of the luster off of the show as a whole. Like all those shocked faces when the task is revealed? All fake, at least on MasterChef Junior. A father of one contestant said the kids know about challenges for weeks, and while they may not have every single detail, they know enough to be able to practice their dishes at home. Combine this with accusations that some junior chefs have taken professional cooking and acting lessons ahead of filming, and it does all come off as quite staged. Still, things can go wrong in the kitchen under pressure, and they often do. While no one will deny that the kid chefs on MasterChef Junior are absolutely amazing and skilled, they aren't pulling that decadent filet with butter-braised green beans out of their hat in 30 seconds. It just goes to show, don't trust everything you see on television. There's an abundant variety of cuisine in the world. We hardly need to tell you that, but apparently someone should have informed the MasterChef UK judges of this phenomenon in 2018. Viewers blasted judges John Turode and Greg Wallace for their criticism that Malaysian-born contestant Zalia Kadir Olpen's chicken rendang wasn't crispy and that there was sauce on the skin. But that's not the traditional Malaysian dish.
Rendang, a dish that originated in the region, is generally a slow-cooked curry made with spices and coconut milk, which leaves chicken anything but crispy.
This scandal caused quite the social media furor from international viewers and journalists who complained about the judge's ignorance and only having a single-minded idea of what makes good chicken. What made all this worse was Olpin being eliminated in the round. She defended her traditional dish and stated that she wouldn't have changed a thing. Just our opinion, but maybe MasterChef UK needs a more diverse judging panel. John Marks was the runner-up on the third season of MasterChef, a gentle giant with a passion for cooking. Despite having no formal cooking training, he earned one of the available spots for the show. He was immediately likable, with a big heart and smile. Even though he didn't win his season in 2012, he was lavished with praise, and everyone expected amazing things from him. Marks stated that he would never give up on his dream. However, his world fell apart shortly after the show ended. He began having panic attacks, hearing voices, eventually receiving a bipolar diagnosis. An unfortunate incident with police culminated with Marks claiming Gordon Ramsay had possessed him and turned him into God. Marks spent weeks in jail with his mouth wired shut due to a broken jaw from the altercation. The story of the incident was reported with no mention of the mental anguish the former contestant was suffering. Marks was released and given medical care, but spiraled further when he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. It wasn't long after the initial altercation that he was found dead by his mother from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Though his experience on the show was clearly a stressful one, the family refuses to blame MasterChef for Mark's death.
Fans will remember chef and entrepreneur Joe Bastianich from his time on MasterChef, as well as his stint on MasterChef Junior. Bastianich was a judge on the cooking competition from its debut in 2010, staying for 5 seasons before he parted ways with the series. In a 2014 Facebook post, Bastianich gave fans a bit of an explanation for his decision, revealing, "As co-owner and partner of the Batali and Bastianich Hospitality Group, as well as Italy throughout the Americas, I will be focusing my time and energies on their continued global expansion."
This is not going to fly. This is disgusting. This is not how you work in restaurants.
It seemed that despite his often prickly personality on camera, his decision wasn't motivated by any bad blood or issues with the show itself. He even commented to E! News, "I had a great experience. It was a show that changed my life." Still, many guess there was a deeper reason for his departure. Family has been a crucial factor in the chef's life and career ever since he was just a boy. His family ran a restaurant in Queens, and the future MasterChef judge grew up watching his parents strive to achieve their culinary dreams. As he told Reuters, "My sister Tanya and I were practically raised in restaurants."
My mom came from New York and from Italy. They asked me, "What is the standard of pasta?" And I said, "There's only one standard, it's my mother."
Mom Lydia Bastianich went on to achieve success far beyond their brick-and-mortar restaurant location, creating a culinary empire that included a popular PBS cooking show, cookbooks, and much more. Family and food have clearly been entwined in Joe's life since his childhood, and it seems his own wife and children may have played into his decision to leave MasterChef. He told the TV Page in 2015 that with his son beginning high school and his daughter attending college, he wanted to be able to spend more quality time with them.
There can only be one MasterChef.
But even after his departure from the US version of the show, Bastianich wasn't quite willing to leave his place behind the judging booth. He became a judge on MasterChef Italia, and his time there only served to increase his recognition across Italy. Although it wasn't all positive, Grub Street reported that a 2018 episode of the show featured Bastianich making some off-color comments while visiting an Italian nail salon. Bastianich quickly apologized, explaining to the outlet that the segment was scripted, but adding, "I'm sorry I said those things." He also opted to diversify his role, using his knowledge of the restaurant industry to become one of the stars of Restaurant Startup, a reality series where Bastianich joined chef and restaurateur Tim Love. That show also involved competition, but rather than home cooks vying for top prize, teams competed for the attention of Bastianich or Love as investors in their flailing restaurants. That show didn't quite have the same enduring popularity as the MasterChef franchise, and was only on the air for 3 seasons.
I am right now kind of freaking out.
But this chef's TV pursuits weren't limited to the culinary world. Bastianich was also a presenter on the one and only season of Top Gear Italia. Still, it appeared there was trouble brewing back in the kitchen. The chef's company, Batali and Bastianich Hospitality Group, came under fire after his departure. Eda reported that there was a toxic, quote, boys club culture, alleged by dozens of employees at several of the company's restaurants. Though his partner Mario Batali was at the center of many of the allegations, Bastianich, along with his partner and mother Lydia, as well as chef Nancy Silverton, announced that major changes would be made at the company as a result of the controversy.